In this video, we'll be looking at how to add a tattoo realistically by using a special feature called blend option inside of Affinity. So before starting, if you haven't subscribed to our channel yet, please hit the subscribe button for more tips and tricks related to Affinity. And if you want to follow along with the tutorial in this video, please find the link for the image in the description. So now, without any further ado, let's get started. So to add a tattoo in the biceps of the subject that you see here, first of all, we'll bring in our tattoo image, and to bring in our tattoo image, I'll navigate up to our file menu item and then navigate below and select place. And after selecting place, I'll simply select the tattoo image right here. And after selecting the tattoo image, I'll hit the open option or button to open it. And now you can see that our cursor has been changed to the place trigger icon, and our image, which is the tattoo image, has been loaded successfully. Now to place it, simply click anywhere on your image. So I'll click on the bicep of the subject, and after clicking on the bicep of the subject, now our image has been successfully placed. So the next step is we'll simply get rid of this white background color in order to place and align our rose tattoo realistically and reposition it inside of the bicep of the subject. So to do that, I'll simply change the blend mode to multiply. So basically what blend mode multiply does is it will simply get rid of the white colors inside of our image and only retain the darker or black colors. So after retaining or applying the multiply blend mode option, the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll resize the tattoo image first. So I'll resize it, and after resizing it, I'll also rotate it by holding down the shift key to manage or fix the constraint of our tattoo image. So I think the 30 degrees rotation is fine. So I'll simply leave our mouse click to apply it. And after leaving the mouse click, the next thing that I'll be doing is I'll hide the tattoo image layer right here. And after hiding the tattoo image layer, I'll simply select the background layer right here. And after selecting the background layer, I'll navigate to the left and select the selection brush tool in order to make the selection of our biceps of the subject. And by simply brushing over the biceps where we want our tattoo to be limited to, I'll simply brush it over like so in order to make the selection. Now we can simply brush it over in order to make it selection. So I think this much area is adequate for now. So the next thing that we will be doing is we'll select the tattoo layer and then again make the tattoo image visible by selecting this particular icon. And next we'll create a mask of this tattoo image. So in order to create a mask out of this particular tattoo image, we'll simply navigate below and select the mask icon right here. And now you can see that our tattoo image is limited to the selection of the biceps of our subject. So now let's deselect our selection first. And in order to deselect, I simply hold down the command key and press the T key. And after deselecting the selection, I'll zoom in first. And after zooming in, you can see that in some areas, our tattoo has been trespassing out to the tank top. So we do not want that. So to fix that, I'll first of all select the brush tool right here, and I'll select or make sure that our layer mask has been selected, which is indicated by the blue border around our layer mask. And now, after making sure that our layer mask has been selected, I'll simply select the brush panel right here and make sure the soft round brush or any other brush is selected that would be suitable in order to mask out our tattoo that has been trespassing out in the tank top area. So after selecting the round soft brush tool, I'll select the layers panel again and make sure that the foreground is set to black. And after the foreground is set to black, let's brush in outside of the tank top in order to get rid of the details of tattoos that has been trespassing outside the tank top of our subject like so. So we'll simply brush out like so in order to get rid of those details of the tattoo that has been trespassing. And now after we have gotten rid of those details, the next thing is we'll fit our view to screen by holding down the shortcut key of Command and 0. And if you're using Windows, you can use the shortcut key of Control and 0. And now you can see that our tattoo has been placed properly inside of our image or subject's bicep. Now the next thing that we will be doing is, let's select the tattoo layer in our layers panel and make a copy of it. So I'll simply use the shortcut key of Command J as I'm using Mac, and if you're using Windows, you can use the shortcut key of Control J to make a copy. And now let's change the blend mode for each of these tattoo image. So I'll change the blend mode for this tattoo image to screen for now, and keep the blend mode for the previous tattoo layer to multiply as it is, and change or rename the layers as well to multiply. And again, I'll rename the name of the another tattoo layer to screen. And now after renaming the tattoo layers, I'll zoom in again to view our tattoo. And for now, if you see the multiply image that we have, we'll adjust the multiply tattoo image later. So I'll simply unhide it, and now we'll adjust the screen tattoo image layer. And to do that, I'll first of all make it visible. And what we want to do is we want to get rid of the white color background of our tattoo image. And to do that, we'll be using a special feature called blend option inside of Affinity. So I click on this particular blend options icon right here, and you can now see that the blend options box has popped up. So the first thing that we need to do is we need to get rid of the white backgrounds inside of this tattoo image. And to get rid of the white background, all we will be doing is adjusting the source layer ranges. So the source layer ranges is equivalent to the current layer blend if option in Photoshop, and we'll simply get rid of the white color background that is existing inside of our tattoo image first. And before that, you can also use the selection tool to get rid of the white color background. However, it might take you much more time to do that. So applying the blend options feature right here is much more appropriate in this particular situation. So I'll simply click on this particular node and drag it down below like so. And now you can see that the white color is slowly starting to fade away. And I'll set the node somewhere at this particular position right here. And the next thing that I'll be doing is simply click on this particular point to add a new node and then drag it below like so to adjust the blending of our tattoo image. And again, I'll simply click on this particular point and drag it below in order to completely get rid of the white color background that we have in the rose image. And next, we can also further play around with these lines and points inside of the source layer ranges. So I'll simply click and drag it all the way to the right to bring back our details like so, as you can see here. And now if we zoom in, you can see the transition is a bit harsh overall. So that's because our axis is currently set to linear. So in order to make the transition much more smoother and make the tattoo image much more natural, all we can do is uncheck this particular linear checkbox. So this will enable the curves inside of the source layer ranges. And after enabling the curves, our tattoo has been now blended smoothly inside of the bicep of our subject. So the next thing that we also want to do is we want to play around the underlying composition ranges in order to adjust it with the shadows and highlights of the underlying layer, which is the biceps of the subject image. So in order to do that, we'll now play around with the nodes that is present in the underlying composition ranges. So I'll simply click on this particular point and drag it like so below. And now you can see that when I drag it below, all the details that are present in the highlights of the biceps are starting to fade away, which we do not want because we have changed this particular layer to be screen. That is, the details of the rose should only be present in the highlights or white areas of the biceps of the image. So I'll drag the node all the way to the top to bring those details on the white areas back, and then I'll drag or I'll select the white node on the left or the node on the left and drag it all the way below like so. And now you can see that our tattoo image has been slowly starting to fade away. So let's bring in the details by clicking and dragging the center node all the way to the top like so and adjust it like so. And let's also select this particular point on the right and then bring it or drag it all the way to the left to bring much more detail on our rose tattoo. So after we are satisfied, now let's make the transition much more smoother. And to make the transition much more smoother, all we'll be doing is changing our axis from linear to curves, and now it will make our transition much more smoother. And now after we are satisfied with our blend options settings, we'll simply close down the blend options box. And now the next thing that we'll be doing is we'll make the multiply layer visible. So to make the multiply layer visible, we'll simply click on this particular eyeball icon to make it visible. And let's select our multiply layer like so. And after selecting the multiply layer, the next thing we can do is we can adjust the intensity of the tattoo in order to make it much more natural. So we can adjust the intensity by adjusting the value of opacity, which is one way. However, to professionally adjust the intensity, I'll simply click on this particular cog icon in order to open the blend options. And this will not only adjust the intensity but also blend our tattoo image according to the shadows and highlights of the underlying bicep layer or the underlying image layer, which is the background layer right here. So similarly, let's adjust the settings for the underlying composition ranges option that we have right here. And to do that, I'll simply click on this particular point or node and then adjust it in order to slowly decrease the faintness or intensity of our rose. And now you can see that it is starting to look much more natural. So similarly, I'll again click on the right node and then decrease it a bit below like so, somewhere at here. And after decreasing it, I'll simply click on this particular axis with a new node, and then I can control the intensity much more like so. And I'll set the node to be positioned at somewhere at this point. And after positioning the node to this particular point, the transitioning of our image is much more harsher, which we do not want. So to make the transition much more smoother, I'll simply click on this particular linear checkbox to uncheck it. And now you can see that our curves or our linear path has been changed into curves, which indicate that our transition is now much more smoother. So we can further play around with these nodes to make our image much more natural like so. So I'll play around and drag individual nodes like so to retain much more color details and make our tattoo image much more natural by blending it with the underlying background layer of the subject's bicep. And after we are satisfied with our blend option, we can also adjust the other options such as blend gamma. So I'll click on this particular option right here. And what blend gamma does is we can adjust the highlights and shadows inside of this particular tattoo image that we want to blend with the underlying background image. And in order to do that, we can simply click and drag the slider to the right and left, and you can see that it is now slowly being adjusted with the underlying layers by making the blending much more natural with the underlying layer in reference to the shadows and highlights of the biceps that exists below our multiply layer in the background layer right here inside of our layers panel. So after I'm satisfied with the blend gamma value of 1.619, I'll simply click on this particular close icon in order to close our blend option box and apply our blend option settings. And next, what I'll be doing is I'll simply select the screen layer as well. And by using the shortcut key of Command G, I'll simply group both of these layers inside of one single layer. And I'll rename this layer as tattoo. And after renaming this layer to tattoo, the next thing that I'll be doing is I'll be again adding or applying a bit of Gaussian blur to make our tattoo much more real. And to do that, I'll again add this particular tattoo image inside of another group. And to do that, I'll again use the shortcut key of Command G in order to place that particular overall tattoo group inside of another group. And the next thing I'll be doing is I'll renaming it to tattoo blur. So I'll again add another T to fix the spelling. So now after fixing the spelling, let's add a bit of Gaussian blur to this particular tattoo blur layer. So I'll click on this particular filter and select the option of Gaussian blur. And now you can see that after selecting the option of Gaussian blur, we have our Gaussian blur panel or box popped up where we can see live how the overall blur filter will look like. So First of all, I'll set the value to somewhere at 0.1 and hit tab, and now we can see that it has blurred our tattoo image. So it is much more blurred out, which we do not want. So what we can do is we can decrease the opacity. So I'll set the opacity to somewhere at 90 for now, or 90% for now. So it's starting to decrease the blur filter. So still, I think the opacity or the blur effect is much more. So let's decrease the opacity more. So I'll set the opacity to somewhere at 75% for now. Okay, so I'm fine and satisfied with this particular opacity value for the Gaussian blur effect. So next, I'll simply click on this particular close icon to close and apply our Gaussian blur effect, which you can see on the right that it has been applied successfully right here in our tattoo blur layer inside of the layers panel. So now after applying the Gaussian blur filter, I will fit our image to the screen by using the shortcut key of Command 0. And now you can see that we have successfully applied the rose tattoo image inside of the bicep of our subject, which is looking much more natural. So this is how you can use the blend option feature inside of Affinity to blend your tattoo image inside of the subject's bicep. So if you find this video helpful, please click on the like button, and for more tips and tricks related to Affinity, hit the subscribe button. Thank you for watching this video and see you on the next video.